Hi everybody, another vlog for the week, and I was just thinking because I've had a lot of new subscribers here on YouTube. I started really uploading every day in this past February, so it's November, so 10 months. One of the things I've noticed is definitely a slow build. I think I got within the first 3 months up to 100 subscribers, and 3 months later another 100, and then I noticed that there's this huge influx of people, especially after the webtoon videos. Um, and then other videos slowly started getting more traction. And I've kind of talked about this a little bit, just at least the concept, that you know things take time to build up and get momentum, and it's really easy to get discouraged in any given moment when you look at the growth of things. So one of the things that I've noticed just about YouTube um, is that in order to get to the point where something started paying off for the channel, that I had to go through. I had to do a lot of videos to get to the point to see what worked and to try to develop kind of the format. And I'm still kind of in the middle of all that because I'm still within the first year of the channel, in the middle of doing everything else. But it's true of like doing webcomics. It's true of just art in general and pretty much anything. But you have to keep going through all these different. You have to do a bunch of different things, and you have to do it for a long time to really see what's paying off. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of stopping because they don't see an immediate result. And this is really true about YouTube, webcomics, pretty much anything online where you get feedback. And part of the problem with social media is it's conditioned us to want that immediate feedback like thing. So if you post something and you don't immediately get that thumbs up or the little heart clicked on or whatever, or a retweet or a share or whatever, you think, well, that didn't work, right? Then you kind of set whatever that thing is, that for a particular tweet or post or whatever. But it's kind of conditioned us, I think, we kind of have that same mindset with things where we should have a longer term. So building up an audience for a webcomic or YouTube channel takes time because there's so much stuff out there, and there's so much stuff you have to compete with, and you have to find your voice, and you have to find what works for you, and really where you want to go with things. But if you're doing a story too, you have to be willing, and when we're doing a story like posting it online, you really have to be willing to do this story and get no immediate feedback, sometimes for at least what you would think would be success, right? So for William the Last, for example, I did William the Last quietly for really a year. It's been up for 4 years now. Link below in the description to it on Webtoon, and you can see it on WilliamTheLast.com. I think I would rather you go right now to Webtoon because I think Webtoon has enough built-in audience that would be a good place to read it. And Webtoon is actually caught up with WilliamTheLast.com, so it doesn't really make a difference for you as the reader. Anyway, but I mean, I did William the Last for 3 months and never promoting it when I first started it. I had finished a few projects. I wanted to do, this was the first one I did, all on me, all art, writing, and everything. And I just wanted to do it and get it out there, but I'd not worry about promotion. I just focus on the story. And then then when I started promoting it, there was all this material already up there. But I had very, very slow growth for 2 years or so. So the first 3 chapters, it was very, very slow. And I tried not to. It was one of those projects where I just said, I'm not going to worry about the immediate feedback. I just want to tell the story. And over time, I found that I built up this huge queue of pages. So when I discovered webtoons, when I discovered Tapas and all these different things, and when I went to talk to like publishers, which I'm working out a publishing deal for 2018, looks like William Last will be published in comic shops, they're traditional, next year. When I already had this huge, all this content, this huge repository. I've got pages, I've got issues worth of, I've got a whole mini maxi series worth of content for publishing. But all that stuff happened kind of quietly in the background, and before I approached a publisher or Webtoon, when I had access to a bigger audience, I had to produce quietly with not a lot of fanfare, the book. And I'm kind of still in that mode, I think, with YouTube. And it's very tempting to get discouraged, especially on the day-to-day grind, which is why I say don't look at analytics every day. Don't look at, like, it's not healthy to post a video or a post or whatever, and then 5 minutes later, has anybody watched it? Or even like an hour or so. There's definitely something to be said for putting it. It's like fishing. Put it out there, bait the hook. If this is a good analogy. Let it sit, but don't. And you leave it overnight, right? And then you come back the next morning and see if you've caught whatever it is you're fishing for. Do they fish for like cat? We used to do catfishing like that. You'd throw a bait in the water line and leave it there, and then check it after a while. You didn't constantly reel it back in and look at it and throw it out. Maybe that's a horrible fishing analogy, but you get the point. It's like the things have to sit there for long enough for the fish to kind of know that there's stuff in the water. But producing content like videos and a channel and building up something takes time. So it's really easy to be discouraged. And a lot of times, I think this is true, that the success, things that will be most successful for me have been the things I didn't think were that successful. Like I've done videos on that I thought would be, have more views. They just didn't. And then all of a sudden you start getting more reaction from another video where you're like, what? I didn't plan that. So you don't get to control what you're successful at, honestly. You get to control the discipline of making things. You control the consistency with which you produce content. And that's necessary for success. It's not sufficient because there's always that X factor, like, 1, make great things, 1, have an idea, 2, make it, 3, ? For success. But everybody I talk to, everybody I know, goes through that period that they've had success of just quietly making the thing that they're successful for. So I'm kind of mid-process with that, with the channel, but it's something I've noticed just over my career that is worth pointing out. So if you're doing your comic, your webcomic, your YouTube channel, whatever, just keep plugging away at it. It's the daily grind of doing it that can get if you start looking for immediate daily results to try to get yourself juiced up to do something, you're going to get discouraged. Just make the thing and then assess periodically if what's working, what's not. But so anyway, those kind of disjointed thoughts on just as I'm looking at things. This is kind of my period where I'm looking at different behind the scenes, what's working, what's not, which direction do I want to go. So I hope that helps. So if you're doing a story, you're doing whatever it is your project, your thing is, if nobody's noticing it, that may not keep plugging away at it, because one or two things is going to happen. Hopefully both of them. But if it's because you're not quite to the level skill-wise to make a good thing, you have to make bad things before you make good things. That's how you get better, as practice. So if the current project isn't the thing that takes off, the next one may be, because you'll be better on the next one. Also, it may just be timing, promotion issues, whatever. And if it is good enough, eventually, if you're consistent with it, there's a better chance it will catch on. So just a call to stick with it. So anyway, check out other videos. I've got, if you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. Click the bell down below, just above the description, to be notified when I upload things. I'm knocking my mouse around here. And check out, which I always forget which side the thing's on. On one of these sides, there are more videos. Check them out, and I will see you next time.